Thanks for tuning into No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to talk about a wine growing region from the southern part of France by the name of Saint-Chinian. Saint-Chinian is a town located in Languedoc. It is in between two other wine producing towns by the name of Fougères and also Minervois, and it's situated in the foothills of the Massif Central. Here, 99% of all grapes produced are black skin grapes, and those are used to produce red wines. By law, these wines must be blends. They cannot be single varietals, and 70% of the wine in the blend needs to come from the following four grapes, and that is Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, and Lidonnaire Pelou. Now, you can also have up to 30% of Carignan or also Sanso. In this area, the soil types are quite interesting. In the northern part of Saint-Chinian, we have a soil type by the name of schist. And in the southern part, it's clay and limestone. And they give a little bit of a different presentation to the wines when they're in your glass. Now, wine production here has been going on for thousands of years, and it's really been on the move. When we think about that, the first people to produce wine in Saint-Chinian were the Romans, and they were able to move the wine to other parts of the world via the first road ever produced, and that's Via Dominita. And that road actually enabled them to put wine in amphora, which is kind of a clay pot, and move it from place to place, not only throughout Europe, but also to the rest of the world. In the Middle Ages, we had wine that was produced by Benedictine monks, and of course they used it for sacrificial purposes and also to sell to produce some revenue for the church. As we started to reach modern times, Saint-Chinian wine was moved all throughout Europe and to the rest of the world via the Canal du Midi, which enabled it. It was a waterway that enabled it to easily get out of that area into other parts where it could be easily shipped. So this is a wine that has been on the move. But throughout the years, Saint-Chinian wine has always had an interesting reputation, and that's a reputation that it was somewhat medicinal. And this comes from a very interesting agricultural standpoint, and it comes from something that we call garrigue. So garrigue is naturally occurring herbs that are just in among the vineyards. So we think things like lavender, rosemary, thyme, sage. These are growing throughout the vineyards in Saint-Chinian. No one planted them there, they're just naturally occurring. But what happens is, you have some of their scents that get onto the grapes, you have some intertwisting of different roots, and you actually have some garrigue or some spiciness that ends up being part of the wine. And it's thought, although no one knows for sure, when this wine got named for its medicinal purposes, it was because of the garrigue that naturally occurs among the vineyards. So it's quite an interesting wine. So I'm going to actually try one here, present it to you, so you know what to expect when you go out to your wine store and pick out a Saint-Chinian. So the one we have today is from a vintner by the name of Jean-Claude Mas, and this is a 2019 Saint-Chinian. It's made up of 55% Syrah, 20% Grenache, and 25% Carignan. Remember earlier when we said 70% had to be among those four grapes. We actually are at 75%, with Carignan making up the difference. So if we take a look at the wine, the first thing that we notice is the wine is really quite dark purple. We actually can't see through it. It's a bit opaque. If we swirl to liberate some of the aromas, what leaps out of the glass is very much what I talked about before, a lot of spiciness. We detect everything from a little bit of cinnamon and some frankincense to a little bit of rosemary and thyme. So the fruits themselves are a bit muted, and what we smell is the herbs. So let's go ahead and take a sip. Very nice. Across the palate, this particular Saint-Chinian presents itself with some very dark red fruits. Think things like plums and cherries and a little bit of black raspberry. And then mid-palate we start to feel that lift from the acidity in the wine. This is quite a dry wine. And then we start to get that spiciness kick in. I'm detecting a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of that rosemary and thyme. It really is quite interesting. The garrigue comes through in a wine like this. And then the finish is actually mildly tannic to mid-tannic, and it has quite a grip on the back side of the palate. So you might be wondering what this type of a wine would pair well with. So I like a Saint-Chinian with grilled meat, so things like steak on the grill, a little bit of leg of lamb. From a roasted meat standpoint, I like this wine with lamb. I think the high Syrah content in it adds a certain spiciness and pepperiness that really goes well with that type of meal. So I'm going to get back and enjoy a little bit more Saint-Chinian, and ask you to come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.